Hi. Oh, it's funny. Oh no, I just realized something. Oh. I basically made a plan that I was going to work for 8 hours a day until I finished all of my assignments because of how many assignments I have in such a short period of time. So anyways, I've already completed 3 hours of today, and I completed a discussion post for management, gender, and race, and now I'm going to try to complete a written activity for organizational behavior that is due on Thursday. Now, fun fact, after completing that discussion post, I literally don't have anything due until Thursday, but the bad news is that I have 2 giant assignments due on Thursday, and then I have 2 giant assignments due on Saturday, so it sucks. Which is why I'm doing the 8 hours that you mentioned. Well, that was funny. And I'm also forcing myself to only take a 1 hour break after 4 hours, so that was funny. Anyways, for this assignment, I have to find an article and then write like a summary of the article and stuff. And then I found this one, so that was funny. And it's 9 pages. It made me thinking, well, why didn't you try to find one that was 6 pages? Well, I actually did find one that was 6 pages, but it looked like it may have been a translation, and it was much harder to read. So I decided to go with this one. That was funny. Anyways. Oh no. And I already feel extremely tired, but it's only been 3 out of 8 hours. Dang it. In order to respond to the fast pace of social, political, economic, and technological forces, organizations must be nimble at effectively responding to challenges and taking advantage of opportunities. Most organizations and their leaders struggle with developing Most organizations and their leaders struggle with developing and implementing all types of large-scale change. The structure reorganization, cost reduction, process improvement, and culture transformation. The vast majority of change initiatives are unsuccessful, with up to 93% of them unable to meet the goals of their change efforts. This can be costly to the organization in several ways, including but not limited to lost competitive advantage, missed opportunity, revenue, wasted dollars on the change effort, loss of employee engagement, productivity, and possible attrition. Why do so many organizations flounder when there is a wealth of literature, theory, and best practices available on how to plan and execute large-scale change? This article will review the most recognized and commonly referenced change models from William Bridges, Edgar Schein, and John Kotter. Table 1 outlines the most commonly identified reasons why organizations do not meet their change goals. Oh, that's a lot of stuff. What emerges from this review are 2 major gaps in the guidance on large-scale change. First, leaders at all levels of the organization need more direction on how to successfully execute change. Second, mid-level or team managers need help managing their team members through transitions. 5 principles are offered for overcoming change difficulties and to boost an organization's likelihood of realizing its change goals. These principles and practices are based on insights from over 25 years of client engagements. This table is analysis and contributions on change management. This table summarizes the top-level change management steps from 3 thought leaders. Okay, William Bridges. Steps or stages. Individual. Ending, losing, and letting go. Individuals experience the loss of the old way of doing things. Neutral zone and new beginning. Individuals have accepted and are working to the change. Unique contributions. Contrast. Individuals go through a change process. Provides guidance for dealing with continuous and simultaneous change. Edgar Schein. Individual. Unfreezing. Disconfirmation. Individuals require sufficient anxiety or disequilibrium to push them towards a change. Cognitive restructuring. Individuals restructure or change their way of thinking. Refreezing. Individuals feel safe enough to problem solve and learn new methods. For example, based on compelling positive vision. Individuals need to be driven to change. A compelling vision is needed to drive change. John Kotter, organizational change. Establish a sense of urgency. Organizations need to convince at least 75% of their managers that the status quo is more dangerous than the unknown. Create a guiding coalition. Sniffy. This group has the guiding coalition. This group has sufficient power to shepherd changes and becomes part of a volunteer network, including all levels of the traditional hierarchy who drive change. Develop a change vision. A simple and compelling vision is needed to inspire individuals. Communicate the vision for buy-in. Includes leaders that act consistently with the vision to demonstrate commitment. Empower broad-based action. Removes obstacles to change. Generate short-term wins. Shares evidence of successes to motivate. Never let up. Maintains momentum and urgency. Incorporate change into the culture. Embeds changes into the culture and practice. Individuals need to be driven to change. A compelling vision is needed to drive change. Greater focus on organizational behavior and change execution. Steps should be considered as continuous rather than sequential for ongoing change. That was fun. What guidance on large-scale change exists? This review provides a strong understanding of the relevant guidance on organizational change. Table 1 shows the 3 leading researchers' level of analysis. Change management steps or stages. Change management steps or stages and unique contributions to the prevailing research. Bridges and Schein focus on individual behavior, thus they focus to include specific actions to address employee transition and resistance. Table 2? What are we doing here? Where's table 2? What? Why is table 1 all the way up here? Shouldn't table 1 be much lower down in this article? Dude, look at this. Look at this. We're going to have to skip table 2 for now because it's completely unrelated to what we're talking about. Fail, dude. Connor emphasizes organizational behavior and the steps for effective change management. Execution. Both Bridges and Connor provide useful guidance on dealing with ongoing change. Examining reported causes of organizational change failure. Wow, that was not much at all. They did not explain it. They just kind of wrote a few sentences to go along with the table. Despite the substantial literature and models available, all agree that organizations continue to struggle with large-scale change initiatives. The first category centers on failing to establish a compelling vision. Wait, shouldn't this be table 2? Like this stuff that I'm reading right now. I don't know. Failing to establish a compelling vision. I guess that is this table, but they don't really mention it until later. Let's see here. Okay, why did they fail? One reason is not creating a simple, compelling organizational vision for change. Reason so lacking a vision, not overtly and directly tying the purpose of the change effort to the organization's business strategy. 2, not changing individual beliefs, i.e. not ensuring that individuals have bought into the reasons for the change effort, or ignoring the organizational culture, not establishing a great enough sense of urgency. The organization was not prepared and the internal culture pushed back against the change, initiated technological or organizational initiatives only and neglected the cultural mindset and behavioral requirements. Employee resistance. Poor planning and or execution of the change effort. Poor planning and or execution of the change effort, failure to systematically plan for and create short-term wins, failure to anchor changes in the corporation's culture, failure to make systemic changes, choosing a change methodology or approach that did not suit the business or had piled methodology upon methodology, program upon program. What? How is that an error? There's no error. I don't see it. Where's the error? It says sick. Provide a without proceeding without a clear change strategy or using a change strategy that does not fit the type of change required. Failure to make decisions up front. Failure to measure results. inadequate leadership, including a lack of leader involvement, preparation, and capability. Failure to create a powerful guiding coalition. Leaders not prepared for the change of management style. Well, required to manage the changing business or one where change is the norm. Leaders unwilling to change or develop themselves. Sniffy. To overtly model the organization changes they are asking of their employees, deciding on a strategic direction for change, and then leaders remain remote from the change, leaving the actual change process to less motivated or untrained employees. Insufficient sponsorship from senior leaders. Insufficient or confusing communication. Under-communicating the vision by a factor of 10. The organization is unclear about the reasons for the change, and the overall objectives for the change. Creating resistance by using only top-down communications to announce change, not channeling people's reactions to the announcement in constructive ways, and not engaging employees in shaping the future of the organization. The first category centers on failing to establish a compelling vision. This is best stated by Cotter. Without a clear vision to guide complicated and difficult efforts of a large-scale change project, confusion can set in. Individuals may become unmotivated, and resistance can gain a foothold. As many change management practitioners have experienced, a compelling vision is often the motivator for change, even when there is much uncertainty on how best to execute the change effort. To illustrate, one of our clients, a global pharmaceutical company, recognized the confluence of factors altering healthcare delivery decisions. As part of a major transformation effort, leaders created a compelling vision to double sales and profitability over a 5-year period. This vision motivated leaders and employees to engage in various large-scale change initiatives that include reorganization, culture transformation, and process improvement. We will return to this case study again. The second category relates to individual beliefs. Sniffy. And the importance. The second category relates to individual beliefs and the importance of achieving buy-in and acceptance of the change effort. If an individual does not see or share the organization's vision and rationale for the changes, the individual can be a source of resistance. Resistance often reflects that individuals and teams are more comfortable with the current state than they are with the proposed changes. The third category focuses on the importance. You sniffy. The third category focuses on the importance of effective planning and execution of the change effort. This category contains the greatest number of items, demonstrating that many different types of planning and execution failures can occur. A common organizational mistake is taking the time to announce and explain the change effort and rationale, but doing little to provide direction to sustain the change effort and address its impact over time. Another common mistake is not measuring progress to enable course corrections. The fourth category includes the many issues related to change leadership, where leaders have inadequate guidance on their role in driving change. This trickles down to a lack of support from their managers. This is partially due to the fact that organizations are not giving full accountability to leadership at all levels to follow the plan accordingly. The final category includes concerns about insufficient The final category includes concerns about insufficient or confusing communication. Several best practices emerge in this category, including the creation of a comprehensive communication strategy whereby the focus is to clearly convey the vision for change and develop an effective communications plan. Most individuals get their cues on how to act from their direct manager. Therefore, the manager's communication and reinforcement of the rationale for change is critical to success. Putting it all together, diagnosing outstanding needs. Change is hard work. Ooh. That required a harsh citation to say that change is hard work. The idea that change is hard work is owned by Maynard. Oh my gosh. Put gaps. Emerge. When the change models are examined against the categorized reported reasons. For organizational change failure, Bridges, Shines, and Cotter's models provide guidance to avoid the first, second, third, and fifth change failure categories. For the first category, they all mention the importance of creating a compelling vision to drive change. For the second category, Bridges and Shines models address individuals' beliefs and how to guide others through change. For the third category, Cotter's steps are meant to provide an execution roadmap for large-scale change. Finally, for the fifth category, Cotter also highlights the importance of communication and the perils of miscommunication. None of these three leading experts emphasize the importance of properly preparing leaders or managers to guide individuals and teams through the transition, which is part of the fourth category. In Table 2, Cotter himself acknowledges this gap, calling for greater emphasis on change leadership, noting that almost nobody is very good at it. Therefore, the first outstanding need. Wait a minute. Where are we going to get to Table 3? That's literally the title of the. Therefore, the first outstanding need that emerges from this review is specific guidance and preparation for leaders at all levels of the organization. The second outstanding need pertains to change planning and execution. Evidence shows that change planning and execution remains the most problematic area for organizations. This clearly demonstrates that organizations should and would benefit greatly from additional guidance in this area. Change execution principles to address outstanding needs. Working with hundreds. Well, we'll probably look at this table now. Principles of large-scale change implementation. Wow. Principles of large-scale change implementation. This table summarizes the 5 key principles required for successful organizational change. Change takes place more effectively when worked at 3 levels: organizational, team, and individual. Change is adopted by connecting individual beliefs to organizational results. Change requires a planned and disciplined implementation cascade. Change is accelerated by equipping leaders to lead through the transition. Change implementation calls for frequent and ongoing communication and calibration. Working with hundreds of large and small organizations across all 4 types of change: structural, cost-cutting, process, and cultural. 5 principles are offered to ensure successful large-scale change implementation. Tested and validated. These principles address the change failure categories and position an organization for successful large-scale change execution. There are 2 phases to execution planning. Wait a minute. First, leaders need to create an effective change strategy by making key decisions about what is changing, why it is changing, and who needs to be involved. Second, this strategy needs to be used to create the actual change approach or execution plan. This plan will define how the change will be cascaded and implemented throughout the organization. Wow. I always mistype the word definition. It doesn't make any sense. Okay. Arrange. Really? A number. This is the only possible definition it could be. Arrange a number of devices or objects in a series or sequence. That is a weird definition of cascade. Arrange a number of devices or objects in a series or sequence. Or maybe it's not, that's not the meaning that they mean. It's just a metaphor. Why do they have to use a metaphor? Come on. For example, each of these principles were applied in a disciplined approach when a large division of global pharmaceutical company embarked on a merger integration. This multi-billion-dollar company, operating in over 30 countries with multiple business units, needed a consistent and well-planned framework to execute the merger integration to achieve desired financial and organizational goals. This is figure 2. Where's figure 2 going to be mentioned? What is this? Ooh. Principle 1. Change takes place more effectively when worked at 3 levels: organizational, team, and individual. Organization. Define and communicate vision and strategy. Build commitment to vision and strategy. Ensure reward and recognition structures align with intended results. Team. Translate strategic goals to team responsibilities. Build high-performing teams. Address impact of the changes to work and the team. Individual, leader, and employee. Clarify roles and responsibilities. Address me issues. Reward and reinforce reward and reinforce intended desired behaviors and values. 1. Change takes place more effectively when they work at 3 levels: organizational, team, and individual. Other theorists have noted that change needs to occur at more than one level of the organization. One of the best examples is Cantor, Stein, and Jick's categorization of change stakeholders into strategists, the leaders who create the vision, implementers, the middle managers who translate the vision, and recipients who must adopt the changes. However, there is little attention paid to the fact that the implementers or middle managers may not have the same kind of leadership training as the strategists. Strategists are usually the top leaders of an organization. They may have direct reports, but middle managers, implementers are more likely to be in charge of a team of workers and therefore require unique guidance on how to lead and inspire teams and individuals through change. Figure 2 defines the key objectives that need to be achieved at each level. The organizational level is where senior or change leaders clearly define the vision and strategy for the change effort and determine who should be involved. These leaders should spend time defining a clear rationale. That's fun. Where was I? Oh. These leaders should spend time defining a clear rationale for why change is required. These leaders should spend time defining a clear rationale for why change is required to inform the vision and thinking through what the effects of the change will be to inform the strategy. This includes determining the roles that different organizational groups or teams will play in the larger change effort. For the global pharmaceutical company, senior leadership recognized that integration success rested first with how the senior leaders defined and communicated the vision and strategy. During a special international leadership summit, top leaders were brought together to create one culture, align on business imperatives, and build trust amongst new leaders. These senior leaders left with a clear plan of action and an implementation cascade to drive organizational change and provide tools for teams to execute the change strategy. The team level is where strategic goals are translated into an implementation plan. Middle managers must address how they will achieve the goals. Middle managers must address how they will achieve the goals of the larger change effort with their team. Middle managers must address how they will achieve the goals of the larger change effort with their team. First, they must agree to buy in or fully accept the change vision themselves, and then be able to inspire others. This requires accurately determining the change impact. This requires accurately determining the change impact to their team and diagnosing team weaknesses and strengths. If they are given a new or changed team, they will need to be able to jumpstart or quickly build a high-performing team to meet this change and the ongoing performance expectations. Organizations often underestimate the needs of middle managers in their change planning efforts and fail to devote sufficient time or resources to ensure they are prepared to transition their teams. Change is adopted by connecting individual beliefs to organizational results. Sniffy. The individual level is where the personal dynamics of the transition should be addressed. Basically, individuals experience the same emotional turmoil they feel when major change takes place in their private lives, death, divorce, or relocation, and they can react in complex, unpredictable, and sometimes contradictory ways. The individual level involves addressing the me issues. Success will require clarity about an individual's role, responsibilities, and behavioral expectations. Be specific and identify behaviors needed to start, stop, and continue doing To be effective, leaders at all levels need to address these issues with themselves and their team members. Leaders and managers also need to be prepared to effectively coach and reinforce behavioral expectations. Execution planning requires effort at all three of these levels. But it starts with strategic thinking at the organizational level to truly guide individuals through the transition. To truly guide individuals through their transition and produce desired behavior change, the organization needs to establish a connection between individual beliefs and desired organizational results. During the merger integration of the global pharmaceutical company, the senior leadership team dedicated time to defining cultural beliefs for the newly integrated company. This session provided the venue for leaders to move from talking about cultural tenets related to accountability and customer focus to internalizing these beliefs and aligning on actions going forward. With this client, the following interventions were incorporated to increase the likelihood of success and limit the potential for failure, helping individuals to see the relationship between their own beliefs, how they act, and the results of the organization will support change efforts. Identifying and addressing any potential misalignment between an individual's beliefs about the organization's vision, strategy, and values is critical to changing actions and ultimately results. What is communicated about the vision and strategy may not be reinforced by what employees experience on a day-to-day basis. If this misalignment is not addressed, individuals will be less motivated to act in ways that will produce the desired results. Instilling the importance of leaders and managers. Instilling the importance of leaders and managers to create experiences that shape and reinforce desired beliefs. For example, if you want an individual to believe they are empowered to make decisions, they need to be given experiences that demonstrate their decisions will be acknowledged and respected even when a misjudgment may occur. Examine the factors or issues that help perpetuate undesirable beliefs. These may provide insight into what is limiting behavioral change and what action can be taken to better align for intended results. Creating alignment between an individual's beliefs and the values and goals of the change effort ensures that individuals have bought into the reasons for the change effort. Senior leaders need to create a detailed vision and strategy that managers can use to easily determine the behaviors that managers can use to easily determine the behaviors and expected outcomes from their team. Managers must then have the training and autonomy to shape beliefs and produce results. There are numerous ways that leadership needs to be prepared to lead change efforts. First, in order to sell others on the change effort and manage them through the transition, leaders and managers need to buy it themselves and manage their own reactions to the change. This is why the implementation cascade is so important. Managers cannot address their team's reactions and resistance to the risks and uncertainties involved in transition without also addressing their own. Change requires a planned and disciplined implementation cascade. Creating a large-scale organizational change requires a detailed planning and disciplined launch execution plan to be effective. Planning needs to be done at the organizational level by a guiding coalition. Or a cross-functional team of senior leaders. After determining the change strategy, this group needs to oversee the creation of an organizational level change implementation plan. At minimum, an organizational level implementation plan should contain a planned cascade that addresses at each level of the organization how planned cascade that addresses at each level of the organization how buy-in and ownership will be obtained, what will need to change, and how individual transitions will be handled. Guidance for ensuring there is uniform execution across the organization. Failure to provide a consistent approach for leaders to follow means that managers could be moving forward in inconsistent or even conflicting directions. Specific guidance for how managers can implement change with their teams. Establish clear goals on what on what each team must accomplish and how they are expected to contribute to the program, how they are expected to contribute to the organization's overall success. Each manager or team leader must translate the senior leader's implementation plan into a local execution plan for their teams. The more direction that senior leaders provide in their cascade, the better these local plans can be. Implementation. At minimum, an organization-level implementation plan should contain efforts to align tools, that is, incentives, performance metrics, and learning programs. Align these with established and defined goals of the change effort. A map conveying how information will be cascaded down through the organization and what needs to be communicated to whom and when. Creating an effective information cascade to the leadership ranks of the organization helps gain buy-in at each level and encourages leaders, managers, and individuals to take accountability for implementing the change effort. A plan for customizing that cascade to address subgroup differences. Most companies have subgroups with their own unique subcultures. Senior leaders should customize communications and tactics to help determine the message that will best resonate with them and the experiences that the team leaders can use to inspire change beliefs. We're at this point here. Good job, buddy. Oh. Actually, what I'm going to do for the hour break is set the timer for 1 hour. The other timer, not the online timer. Oh my gosh. That was funny.